feeling better?
It's like when you went into the source is but I expect then it's a little bit more soft.
Move that quick.
My wife gets in my wife gets also.
Madam Secretary, you ready? Is anybody joining by phone or everybody here?
As far as I know, I haven't heard from anybody other than Mr. Strom, who's the
All right, excellent. At this time, I would like to call this Middletown Borough Council meeting, March 15th, 2022, order. Would you please rise and pledge of allegiance? Moment of silence. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Madam Secretary, would you please call the roll?
Here.
Here.
Here. Here.
Here. Okay, thank you very much. Before we move on to public comment, I would like to make just a quick brief statement. You will see some new bullet points at the bottom here for public comment. I just want to take a minute to apologize to council and the residents for not being consistent when it comes to public comment. I'm sorry if we haven't always led a organized and productive meeting. So these are some new bullet points that we can give a shot and see how they work. And we'll just play it by ear. I think we're all going to learn a new process and definitely get some productive feedback after this. But with that being said, do I have public comment on agenda items? Yes, and please please note first bullet point, 4 minutes. Any public comment on agenda items? Okay. Seeing none.
Mr. President, I'd like to move to amend the agenda for this evening to reorganize council.
Second.
You have to state a reason.
To
Could be any reason at all.
He mentioned
to reorganize?
No, okay, that would be the agenda item.
Yes.
But since you're amending, the Sunshine Act says as long as the majority of those present and voting agree to amend it, you can amend it, or you're supposed to state the reason, but it can be any reason.
That would be to
Reorganize.
to elect or recommend a new president, vice president, and secretary.
Yeah, and I guess what I mean is why amend the agenda? Could he be, want to move forward with it without waiting for the next meeting?
Okay, I want to move forward without waiting for the next meeting.
Do you amend your motion?
Yes, I did.
Do you amend your second? Yeah. Any questions or comments? Madam Secretary, would you please call a roll?
Yes.
Wait, I'm sorry. I thought, what are we're voting to amend the agenda?
Amend the agenda
Yes.
to reorganize.
To add an item to reorganize. To the agenda.
I don't know.
Yes.
Yes. At this time, do I have public comment on the amended item? Seeing none, public comment is closed.
Actually, the mayor should, should be looking at the chair for the president, once the president is elected. That's it.
Okay. In light of the motion, are there any nominations for the position of President of Borough Council?
I nominate Ian Redinger.
I second it.
Any discussion? Okay, Ms. Secretary, call the roll.
Yes.
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 Yes. Now is the time to hear nominations for the... Oh, sorry.
As well then? At this time, do I have nomination for Vice President?
I'd like to nominate Ellen Wellenbecker.
I would second that. Madam Secretary, is there any questions or comments? Madam Secretary, would you please call the roll?
Yes.
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 Yes. Congratulations, Councilor Willenbecker, on Vice Presidency. Agenda item number 1. Oh, I'm sorry, I gotta, Secretary. Do I have a motion for Secretary? I'll nominate Ms. Miller.
Second.
Any questions or comments on the Secretary? Madam Secretary, would you please call a roll?
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
Yes. Agenda item number 1.
This is the approval of meeting minutes. Do I have a motion to approve council meeting minutes for the March 1st, 2022 and March 9th, 2022 meetings as submitted?
So moved.
Second.
Any questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Oppose? Motion carries. Agenda item number 2.
Do I have a motion to approve payment of bills as shown on the accounts payable list dated March 10th, 2022 for the period of February 25th, 2022 through March 10th, 2022, and to ratify approval of such bills already paid and to authorize the appropriate officials to take the required actions to make those payments?
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Councilor Kluskevich, second by Councilor Miller. Any questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Oppose? Motion carries with 1 no. Agenda item number 3.
Actually, Mr. President, agenda item number 3 is what, manager's report? Gotcha. I'm looking at my motion, sorry.
Yes.
Okay,
Do we want to move the police?
yes, we do. We had a request because officer or law enforcement's on duty, so we can take him now. The police report.
And we'll just put you at number 6. Good evening. How are you?
Good news.
Excellent.
So the director, Director Bill Baldwin, would like to apologize for not being here personally. Fortunately, he was required to be at the academy tonight to finish up his class or continue his class work. So he just wanted to make sure. Not because he didn't want to be here, unfortunately. I understand that he's already sent up our stats for the month. I guess the month being from February 1st to the current date. Does anyone have any questions on our stats or anything I can answer about that specifically?
I don't believe so. Anybody have any questions on the stats?
Okay. And then he wanted me to address just a couple issues. Obviously, you're quite aware that Officer Ziering had retired or resigned, and I believe that that's in the works to replace him. The director's also asking for 2 more full-timers and 1 part-timer to be hopefully approved in the near future. Do you have any questions on that? Or can I address?
Started off,
Go ahead.
I know, and this would be, I guess, more for Ken and the mayor to move forward, but council has been approached before about adding 2 officers as a way to move towards the 12-hour shift
Yes.
concept. And I know in the past we have asked for, we're not saying no or yes, but we've just asked for more of an analysis of the budget ramifications. You know, what would sample schedules look like? What would staffing look like? Because the report, Mr. Baldwin's report, states or claims that it would reduce overtime significantly, and we would all love to see that.
Sure.
But it would help us if we understood how that was going to happen. So if we could direct Mr. Baldwin to come back to council with some kind of proposal, report, analysis that gave us numbers and information that could back up the claim, that would be a way to move it forward. We know that there's been meetings with the police staff on this topic with council people, and that has certainly opened up communication. But it just feels like, as the head of the department, to prepare something for council, for the department, so we can sit down and look at something substantive.
And I know every department's different, but 12-hour shifts is fairly new it's become more prevalent in the last, I'd say, 10 years. But the good thing is we have other departments in the area that we can reach out to, Dairy, Swatera, that we can maybe look at their staff and see how much they drop. I know they're not the same numbers that we have, but it'll give us some idea, maybe percentage-wise, because I know Steelton drastically reduced their overtime. Dairy Township, I mean, most of those departments aren't anywhere close to ours, and they're working 12-hour shifts. So maybe we can also compare to some of the other departments and see what they've done right. Try to incorporate some of that.
I think Steelton's concept is a great idea to look at, to be quite honest with you. They've done a fantastic job of, I think they're right around $30,000 to $60,000.
I think a lot of departments, when they go to 12, they see the same thing. Maybe not exact numbers, but that's why a lot of the departments do it. I mean, besides, most of the officers seem to like it better. The overtime drops drastically.
Mark, I've spoken to the director about this a couple of times prior to tonight, as early as last year. One of the things that we've heard in the past was there's quite a bit of overtime that's unavoidable in the police department because of holidays, court, different things like that. Things that are set by the collective bargaining agreement.
Sure.
So maybe an analysis of those things that we can avoid with some types of numbers would also give us a better understanding
Sure. So
of that amount of overtime, which part.
what articles will be affected? Because there are some articles in the contract that will have to be affected. Like we currently have an article that says if you work over 8 hours in a day, obviously the association will have to agree to remove that or to amend it. So maybe, for example, would be anything over 12 hours would be overtime if we had to stay. So those are things that we understand would have to be in the side letter, and they would have to be addressed.
But the analysis I'm talking about would be like how many men, how many holidays that are going to be overtime that can't be avoided. You subtract that number from our overtime
Sure.
history, and we can get a better understanding of here's a portion of money that's just not going to be avoided no matter what shift you're on.
Understood. I'll relay that back to the director that that's what you want to see. Honestly, there's some things that, like you said, can't be avoided. Court, that's something that we can't avoid. I mean,
Right.
you don't know who you're going to arrest, how many people, who's going to fight, speeding tickets. I mean, there's no way of knowing that.
And how comp time might factor into that.
And then the other thing is most departments do something called Kelly time, because if you didn't do Kelly time, you'd be paying, I believe it's 4 hours for every officer during an 80-hour period. So that's something we would also have to look at. So I think I know what you're asking.
Yeah, very good. Sounds like we have some good communication flowing
Yeah.
on this topic.
So, I'm sorry, so we talked about 12. You want me to comment that the fish fry, I think it was the first fish fry they had at the Catholic church there, we had an officer there, and it worked well. Unfortunately, we didn't have someone at the last one. I guess it was more difficult, so his plan going forward is to try to have an officer detailed for that during the fish fry period only. Traffic, I don't know if you've been up there, it's pretty bad. Depending on what time period, getting up Race Street's very difficult because it becomes a one lane with people piled up, maybe 40 cars in a row. So that's something he's going to address. Obviously, we've been getting quite a few complaints about traffic. We're trying to address those as quick as we can. Maybe not everybody knows, but we get a lot of tips through our Crime Watch that they'll come to us privately and explain where there's traffic. We're trying to address those as we can. There's going to be a DWI roving patrol countywide March 17th. And my understanding is that the officers' times will be reimbursed from the DA's office. I think he has all that in there. So that's something we plan on participating in also. I think down to bottom you'll see under approval needed by council, under that heading, the director has it, I guess, for the new hires, claiming there's money already in the budget to handle that. Do you see that? I'm sorry, do you have this page here? Apologies if you don't, but at the top it would say also, and then it's listed personnel, community events. In your packet, I hope.
Personnel and community events,
Yes.
second page, third page.
Can you see? Oh, yeah.
Mayor, do you have that?
I do. I'm just confused as to the indication that there's money allocated in the budget for 2 hires. Is that accurate, Sally?
We did not include new hires in the budget for this budget. The director had requested 4 new hires during budget time, but no new hires were added to the budget.
So I'm assuming Zeering's would, whoever replaces Zeering, that would already been covered.
Yeah,
Yes.
We've already voted upon.
yeah, we're waiting for the director to select someone to fill that position.
Okay. Under the same, under approval needed by council, he just mentioned also that we're also asking for approval to utilize the part-timers, not only just to fill shifts that are coming available, but also to try to put them on the schedule more, that we can use them for details, and then obviously if an officer would call off, they would become your second officer, so you wouldn't have, I mean, hopefully that would save in overtime, because right now, if let's say a midnight shift, if all of a sudden someone calls off because they're sick, you're going down that list. There's a chance you might get a part-timer on that rotating list, but you might also get a sergeant or someone who's at the top of the scale and will be paying overtime, where there's a chance that if an officer's already assigned for a detail, he would just become your second person.
Maybe the mayor can correct me on this, but isn't part of the collective bargaining agreement you have to go by that list and go next in line?
I can speak on that if you like.
Oh, no, yeah. Is
So the current contract requires any overtime that the director would approve that's less than 48 hours. Like if someone calls off for tonight, you have to go down that list. That is correct. But let's say there's a planned vacation in 2 weeks. The director has the right to offer that to part-timers first. So he can fill that, so long as it doesn't become overtime for the officer. Obviously, if you had an officer who was a part-time officer who was working 40 hours, and then it was going to become overtime for him, then that would be an issue, because the contract says that if there's going to be overtime approved by the director or chief, I think the language they use, then you'd have to go down the rotating schedule. But if you have a part-time officer who's not going to end up earning overtime because of that, and it's 72 hours out, they can be utilized. And currently we're doing that.
So you make a really good point, because I believe that is what makes Steelton's model so powerful, is they have a floater where they don't have to go to a list if it's less than 72 hours. So if somebody calls off in less than 72-hour window, Steelton's model, please somebody correct me because I'm not a partner or a member of Steelton. They have a floater that they can call in to fill that need without dipping into the overtime.
So when you say floater, I generally believe that to be someone who's already working. Are you saying someone like on standby almost? Is that kind of what you're saying?
I don't know the correct
Okay.
term that Steelton calls it, but I believe there's
Well, that'll come out with the analysis.
yeah, that'll come out with the analysis.
Yes, I mean the biggest thing to understand is most of our part-timers have full-time jobs somewhere else. So trying to juggle around their schedule, obviously when you call them the last minute, they unfortunately might not be available. Now obviously we have a fair amount of part-timers, but that can be a problem.
In the interim, though, I do see what you're saying.
Yeah, so if there's vacation scheduled a couple weeks out, or even at the beginning of next week, as long as it's 72 hours or 48 hours out, the director has the right to put in a part-timer. If it's not going to be paid as overtime, he can put in a part-timer without violating the contract. It's been like that for a couple of years now.
It's a good idea. I think he's.
I believe the mayor's, I think we're already utilizing that, aren't we, Mayor? I mean, I think we do that now.
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure what this means in this paragraph, but
So it
he's
sounds
already
like-
doing that, is my understanding, so.
Yeah, I mean, as far as I know, Ken, that's what we're doing now currently.
Oh, it's good. It's good news.
Anything else I can try to expand on?
Any other questions for?
And then the only other
Sergeant
concern that
Longfellow?
I think we had was, currently, I guess, Monday through Friday on daylight shift, if someone calls off and there's at least one officer out, we're not calling another person out. I guess because we have, obviously, George Miller, one of our part-timers who's been here longer than I have, who's been working the desk, and quite honestly, we've been getting great compliments of having an officer meet people when they show up. Seems to be a big hit with the public. I guess, so our option is to utilize him or to utilize one of our detectives. The only concerns we have is sometimes our detective, now that we're down to one detective, Detective Tankersley, his work, his nature of his work is not always going to be in the borough, or even if he is, if he's doing an interview about a sexual assault or something, he's not going to be readily able to end that conversation, and that would be the only real concern about where if we had the ability to have some part-timers working, obviously, or, I mean, I think the current pay is somewhere around $25. That's considerably less than, say, my salary. There is a benefit because then we don't have to call out someone for overtime if we need it. The only last concern is, especially on Wednesdays, currently, now this changes every year, but currently Wednesday is our court date. So when we have a court date, we may have to transport our prisoners. A lot of counties have constables, but unfortunately, it's my understanding the district attorney will not let us use constables to transport prisoners. So for that reason, we have to have hopefully more than one officer out, because if, let's say that officer, even if that officer doesn't have court himself, if he's transporting 2 or 3 prisoners at a time, he can't, I mean, only 2. And there might be the need for 3 or 4 prisoners, not all the time, but occasionally at the court at any given moment, because the cases back up, you have to have them there. It's almost going to be impossible for the officer to do those transports, be available for calls, and maybe also attend his own hearings. We do have a cell over there where we can, like a holding room where we can put prisoners in, but it's difficult if the officer's on the stand not to have someone there also making sure that someone doesn't open the door and someone doesn't run out. I mean, obviously that would be say the least. So that would, if we can't get that second person maybe always on during the week, we'd at least consider maybe having a second person on court dates. That would be a big asset for us.
Oh, that's a good comment. Good feedback.
And I'm sorry I keep adding, but is there anything else?
No?
I don't have any other questions. Anybody have any other questions?
Thank you.
No, thank you for your
Appreciate it.
time, and please be safe.
Yep,
out
thank
there.
you.
Ian, can we go back to my report because our engineer is on?
Yes,
He
yes.
has another engagement tonight, so if we could get to my report, back to my report, then we can pick up the issue that I have him here for. And so if you look at my report, let's jump to item number 4 on my report. And then Josh can weigh in and go after this. But I met, Matt Miller and I met with Dauphin County commissioners, and there was one of their meetings this last week. They had a presentation that was done by Londonderry Tri-County Regional Planning Commission and HRG about a project that they're working on known as the Conawaga Creek Restoration Project. It's a project that will satisfy, once done, will satisfy their needs for their MS4 requirements and their permit for Londonderry. But the project is big enough to invite other municipalities to participate in. The project would involve, constructing a riparian buffer along the Conawaga Creek that's in Londonderry Township. If any of you are familiar with where the Conawaga Rail to Trails is, it would be on the east side of that. But the good news is, if you folks are on board with it, you don't have to make a decision tonight, but at some point the county wants to know who all is interested in this, and I told them I would talk to you folks. But this would, if we would partner with Londonderry and these other communities, some other communities that are looking at partnering are Lower Swedera and Steelton and possibly others, where we could all meet our MS4 requirements under our individual permits with one joint project where we're all partners in. Our estimated cost to do our sedimentation reduction project here in Middletown alone was estimated to be over $400,000. We were looking at putting some sedimentation basin at Huffer Park, one down around Susquehanna Street, and in both cases taking up field space because we don't have a lot of space in the borough, and costing, as I said, somewhere in the neighborhood of $400,000 plus. The county is on board with this Conawaga project. They like the idea of partnering, and it seems that DEP is as well. The preliminary estimate we have from our engineers, if we were to partner, those same sedimentation credits could be gained in this project for approximately half the cost of what we would do on our own. So anywhere from $180,000 to maybe $200,000 as opposed to $400,000 plus. So that I'm excited about. The other thing is it's a project then that we basically pay but don't really have to play in the ongoing maintenance of that project either, as we would see here in town. So Josh, what am I missing? Any key points that you want to throw in here that where we're at in the process? I know that the commissioners heard this. They've given their thumbs up, and what are the next steps?
Yeah, so Ken, I think you hit most of the points there. We had done some preliminary engineering on the MS4 project that we had proposed as part of your PRP plan. And one of them, Susquehanna Street, we did the infiltration testing, and unfortunately, we didn't get the results that we were hoping for on that one. So we had started at looking at alternative projects. Like Ken had said, your typical sediment removal BMP, you're looking at anywhere between $4 up to $9 or $10 per pound of sediment. So for the Conawaga project, you're looking at somewhere in the neighborhood of $2 to $2.5 a pound. So like Ken had said, the benefits there are, it's still a local project here, in the bordering Londonderry Township, and I think one of the biggest benefits is, maintaining a sediment BMP is not fun or cheap. It's a yearly thing. It's actually more like quarterly. The township people or the borough staff are going to have to be monitoring that and performing maintenance on it. So with this concept, that we have the same thing in our clients Steelton, New Cumberland, they're all dealing with the same kind of issues where they're kind of built out and they just don't have the space to implement these big BMP projects. So I think it's a fantastic opportunity for you. And the next steps are we are looking to meet with the municipalities that are interested the beginning of April to kind of talk some logistics and hopefully have a better understanding by that point of when you guys would have to actually put pen to paper and come to a decision. So there's definitely some time there. We're not asking you for a go, no-go tonight, but I would highly encourage you to consider that.
We'd like to get, maybe some questions, or what do you feel on the initial, proposal here? If you think that that would be something you're interested in pursuing, looking,
I think it sounds like a phenomenal idea. I really do.
Well, how long does this, by participating in this joint project, for how long then does this meet our requirements for DEP and MSD? Because they are ongoing.
They are ongoing. I believe that would satisfy you for this permit term, which goes to 2023.
Okay.
I am, I'll be honest with you, I am not the lead MS4 person for the township, so I can look into that and just clarify, but
my understanding is the buy-in, our credits that we buy in would be there as long as the DMP is there.
Yeah, that's
There would be some intermunicipal agreement with the people who join that would have to come forward, that they're going to maintain it, they're going to,
yes.
But
As far as the MS4
what Josh is talking
yeah.
about in 2023, there's a possibility that DEP comes out in 2023 and says, Chesapeake Bay isn't clean enough, everybody's getting more sediment
Yeah.
that they have to remove. So it might be another project,
But basically, this one project would satisfy you for the complete permit
What
term
we're
that we're
doing.
writing.
Okay.
It's either this or we have to build our own DEPs before 2023 here in town that we'll have to maintain, we'll spend $400,000.
Which we don't have a solid.
But if we can get
plan,
this
right?
deal done and get the agreements in place, we accomplish the same goal in satisfying the current requirements we have to reduce under this permit for half the cost.
Because it is, and it's not like we're just writing someone a check just to solve a problem elsewhere. You guys are all in the same watershed, so the benefits are still going to the same watershed in terms of removing sediment. Just something, it's not like we're just writing someone a check just to make a problem. It's still helping the environment and the intended watershed that you guys are.
DEP at this point has, from what I understand, has expressed that they would be in favor of this sort of joint funding, because this would be basically a project that could be copied throughout Pennsylvania with all these small, older communities that don't have land space. They partner with their township neighbors who have land space, and we can achieve federal mandates.
Yeah, so your requirements for your MS4 permit is to remove something like 88,000 pounds of sediment, and this Conewago project removing upwards of 1 million. So there's plenty to go around. We certainly don't have 1 million in the ERP. So I know Steel Beam, Cumberland, there's a lot of local municipalities that are looking to hop on board with it.
That's good news. Josh, do you have anything else for us?
Not on that particular item. I guess I could give an update. We met with staff to go over some findings from our East Roosevelt traffic study. Our engineers just going through their QA/QC process to finalize that deliverable. So we should be able to present that at the next meeting to you guys if you field any comments or questions.
Thanks, John.
Anything else?
No, thank you. Thank you very much.
Okay, I'll jump back up to item number 1 on my report, and that's Woodland Hills has submitted a request to have their letter of credit for Phase 6A and 10A reduced. HRG has reviewed that, and they recommend a reduction of $376,639, which would leave a remaining balance of $293,482. So I'd like to add that to our business agenda for 2 weeks from now. Vote. Also, item number 2, I don't know if Chief Whitfred was able to make it today. Doesn't look like it. He was happy to report that the fire department, you might have seen on Facebook, was successful in getting a $75,000 grant to reduce the debt on our newest fire engine.
Nice.
And as you recall, each year we budget $48,000 in our operating budget to make that payment in case we don't get the grant. So that money's sitting there. 48,000 is our annual requirement for the lease payment. Since we only got 75, not 96 like last year, we are planning to make 2 payments again using the 75 and 21 of our own to get ahead on the payments. That would leave a remaining balance of $27,000 in our budget that we budgeted that we aren't going to spend. The chief and I'm in agreement with him would like to, at the end of the year, move that amount into the sinking fund for fire apparatus, just to build that account for future vehicles.
That's a good idea.
So if you're on board with that, we'll put that on the agenda for our next meeting. The other thing that we have in, I think we have a copy in the packet of the new permit application. We've revised our permit applications to be less burdensome and hopefully less confusing to the public. We went from multiple forms where people would have to fill out their name and address several times, like when getting electric or a zoning permit, to having one application form where you put that information in once. And then from that, staff can determine whether or not which permit you need, zoning, building, floodplain. So that's in your packet. We basically mirrored what Lower Solaris doing. We looked at what they have. And we like it, and we plagiarized it, for lack of a better word, and have it before you, and we'd like to move forward with that, put it on the agenda, and get you guys to approve it.
Can I take a look at this real quick?
And it'll be for the agenda for next meeting. But the electric permit's not in there, Ian. That's going to be separate like the water and sewer. If you need a water and sewer permit for a lateral, a new lateral, you go to Suez and get that permit application from them because they're the utility. If you're putting a new service on your house or updating your service, you will get the electric permit application from us, which is not being changed. It's not part of this change. What this you're looking at is where we incorporated the building, the zoning, the floodplain, all into one permit application. And you fill out the necessary areas that apply. There's a box at the top, on the first page. You got to check. What's your report? Stormwater, I guess. Maybe I'm thinking floodplain might say stormwater. Back further. I keep hearing this ringing up here. That's why I did that. Sorry. Yeah. But they're all incorporated into this one document. And, yeah, the stormwater's at the front, but floodplain is. Find it. Okay. Yeah. We captured it under section D.
On question, can you hear me? Question for you on the third page where it lists the type, the building, electrical, plumbing, HVAC, fire, and then it has a permit number and a fee. What is this box or section for?
Code official approval, he'll fill out. Code official fills that out.
So those are the related other permits that go with the.
That's right. Not all of them. I mean, there is a separate electric permit that we have because we are our own electric utility, like for putting new service in and that sort of thing. But what you're seeing on here, I'm not a code official, but that, if I'm wrong, help me out here on where Ian's looking where it says building, electrical, plumbing.
And
Um,
HVAC, so forth.
I think that's, if electrical work is being done with the building permit, you'll probably see the same permit number under building and electrical, with some of these, putting interior electrical.
I guess my question is, and this application is, the builder is hiring subs. They're hiring a plumber, hiring an electrician, and they pull their building permit before, say, all their subs are hired. The electrical permit may not be pulled yet. So this permit may be.
We'll have to maybe table this and talk about that, because I'm not prepared to talk about it.
Okay, I was just asking.
We don't have the code guy here with us tonight, or,
I think it looks great, and I've talked about this for almost 2 years, making our permit process less burdensome. And also dumpster permit,
why don't everybody take some more time to look at it, and
I'm sorry, I should have looked at it.
we'll put it on the agenda for the next, the following, not this one, but the next one. I know we had complaints about multiple permits, and was just trying to get it moving as quick as possible.
No, this is
Why
great.
am I
This
filling
looks
out
really,
a
really,
zoning
really good.
permit when I don't need a zoning permit, when it should have just said permit application, not zoning permit application?
I think this is definitely moving in the right direction. I'm sorry, Ken, what else do you have?
Item number 5 is information on the 5-year CapEx plan and the report submitted by the joint venture. We will discuss a response to that plan in executive session, and then we will return to vote on that. Each year, the joint venture puts together a 5-year capital improvement plan, and under the lease agreement, the borough has 30 days to approve or reject it. And 30 days is this year is going to get us about 3 days short of our April business meeting, so we're going to hopefully take care of that issue tonight and come back out and vote on the response. The other thing that came with the 5-year CapEx was the what they call the rate recovery report that's done each year that sets out what the rate increase is going to be each year based upon the 3 factors: the recovery of capital projects that are built in town, the water sales shortfall rule, the margin and index change, which is the annual rate increases is built into the agreement to include whatever the CPI is for each year. So the margin is the is 2.5, that's set by the agreement, and the index is related to the consumer price index, which changes each year. And this past year, that CPI rose substantially for the first time since the agreement's been in place, which it rose 4.6% in 2021, and prior years we were around 1% for like 3-4 years since the agreement. The thing that the issue that the joint venture wanted to point out to us is that they are projecting, we see anybody who watches the national news see what's going on. They're projecting that the CPI is going to continue to rise through this year, and we could possibly be facing a double-digit margin and rate index next year. Just the margin and rate index before you get into the capital improvement side of it. So that's what we're faced with. That's what's in the agreement, and hopefully inflation will level out. But any questions? That's all I have.
Any questions for Mr. Kleinpeter? Thank you very much. At this time, we're going to go to, well, the agenda item for codes. I believe we're just going to skip that at this time.
Yeah, there's a report there that says that they did 11 sidewalk inspections. They put out 7 NOVs, 19 permits were issued. and that was submitted by Code Officer Harry Bizzarro. As I think you know that we, at our last meeting, we engaged with Commonwealth Code, so Robert Moyer is here 2 days a week to assist with the zoning issues and the construction issues, where Harry is primarily focused on the property maintenance and those sorts of issues.
Thank you.
Commonwealth's gonna be there 8 hours a day or just like,
The contract commits them to 10 to 20 hours a week.
Any other questions for codes, for Ken for codes? Agenda item number 5, finance report. Sally, good evening.
There are a couple items on my report that I wanted to point out. Ken already addressed the gaming grant, so I won't address that. I'd like to add your approval at the next meeting, put on the agenda. There's a 904 recycling grant that Matt made me aware of. It's not a large grant, but it doesn't require any additional work than what we already do. It's simply filling out the application. I spoke to our contact at DEP, and he's going to notify us. It comes out mid-year. He's going to let us know when the application comes out, and then you receive the funds the following year. Anywhere based on the numbers that he gave me for large communities, 6,000 to 8,000 a year to Middletown. And I think Matt is going to talk about how he would like to utilize those funds, whether it's through a sinking fund or equipment fund for public works. So I'd like that to add to the agenda to allow us to apply for that grant.
That's a good idea.
On the American Rescue Fund, we just had our audit at the end of February, and in talking to them, because they work with a lot of other municipalities who are participating in the American Rescue Fund grant, and they're recommending to reduce some administrative burden and tracking by allowing us to do what we did for Dauphin County Cares grant, which is to report the money as public safety instead of individual projects.
Such as the MS4 that we talked about.
Such as the MS4. So we already have the projects in place that were approved, and they're not going to change. It's just the actual reporting to the American Rescue Fund that's going to change.
Which is the federal government.
Yeah. So I'd like to put that on to the agenda. I can already tell my first report's due for April, and you have to supply all kinds of backup to support all the projects that you're working on. So it is going to be a lot of administrative tracking. Now, it's not that I won't track it by project, even if I don't report it that way individually, but it'll be easier. It won't be a lot of additional reporting to the federal government.
And potential errors with the federal government. You know how hard they're correct with the federal government.
The other item is Matt received an estimate for the sewer pipe at the Elk Lodge, or the Elk building, and sorry, we're going to set aside that money. It's about $10,000. And which will leave a balance.
You need bottle of water?
Sally, you need some water?
Yeah, I have. So there'll be about $150,000 that is able to be utilized. And again, I think that those expenses will be reviewed by Matt and Greg under what they would like to use those additional funds for. as I said, we had the auditors in at the end of February. While they were in, I talked to Scott Henry, the lead on the audit, and Ellen, you'd be happy to hear that I did get permission to assign $30,000 out of a positive fund balance for the comprehensive park plan. Questions? Don't require me to. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes, it's a monthly. Any other questions?
None.
As far as the $30,000 for the park study, that now that we know we have some funds we can access, do we want to put that on the agenda for our next business meeting to have a vote to see if we can, you're willing to authorize HRG to move forward on that project? Submit a.
Yeah.
I don't know the answer. It would be the positive balance that would typically go into our full cash. We can set that aside.
So if council approves,
Yes.
at the next meeting, we'd set up a fund for that and
Yes.
move that $30,000 into
To
that.
set up an account.
Thank you. Agenda item number 7, Public Works, Mr. Wilsbach.
Couple points of interest that I have. Number 12, we got our first bill with our new power provider, which is BP Energy, and we had some issues that I noticed after looking the bill over with some of the pass-throughs. So I contacted our one engineer that deals with the power supplies and our lawyers, and sat down with BP, and we got the issue straightened out. So it looks to be on target, and actually I'm real happy with the monthly power supplies coming in at. So we didn't get this month's yet, because they still didn't reconcile last month's bill, but I expected a little hiccup. I didn't expect that big of a hiccup right off the get-go. Every time we change power providers, they're all different. So some just want to show you little things. The others, you have to keep requesting. I want to see all our pass-throughs. And then I can look over the bill every month and compare it with the PJM or compare it with my state. So, also, I have a couple action items here that I'd like to place on the agenda. One is I'd like to amend the changes to the borough's technical requirements for our customer-owned generation. This doesn't require, according to the requirements, an ordinance change, probably just a approval of council, or I don't know, Jim, if it requires a resolution. So, but that would be on the agenda. And if anybody has any questions on the change, it's just one wording that we're taking out of it that makes it a little bit more fair on solar customers, that there's not a distribution charge on the excess that comes back on our system. Right now, the way it's worded, that can happen if they aren't producing much electricity. And we still do pay, the generator for that excess. They're entitled to what we pay for power. So whatever that annual average is, that's what we pay on our annual true-up with the customer. So that's on the agenda, along with Matt did some work to get some proposals out there for concrete work around the borough properties. We would like to put that approval on once we get the proposals in, I guess, in April. Okay. Also, the VFW, put in a special request to be able to block off Pike Street, April 16th for a children's Easter event. So it's just the one block right there. That also should be approved by council on the next, done through the next meeting. And then the last one, is council's approval to advertise the additions to the no parking ordinance for, a predetermined distance on Sage Boulevard, west of Woodland Avenue intersection. So I went out and did the study on it that was required, this week here, and turned it into Mr. Diamond. We have the ordinance drafted. Everything looks good, thank you. Appreciate it. So that'll also be on your agenda. So,
Greg, how about an update on the pool?
the pool is, we're gonna be draining it here as soon as the creek levels go down and cleaning it up. Seeing if there's any touch-up paint that needs to be done. As far as the director goes, we're not having a lot of luck with finding the director.
It's funny you bring this up because I was going to bring this up under council, but go ahead, continue. But I do want to chime in.
Well, and that's the issue. So, you know, we will drain it, we will wash it, pressure wash it, touch up. We know there's going to be some touch up paint. Might have a little parking lot work that I wanted to do if time allows, and if our machine is almost empty, you know, to coat that parking lot and restripe it. Some odds and ends like that. But we're definitely going to have to, you know, once you fill it, you're chemicaling it, or you're going to lose it. So, well, we have to we have to coordinate that with the opening of the pool. You're wasting chemicals for a month in advance or whatever of opening.
Since we were going on the pool subject, I wanted to ask, because we have to figure this out relatively quickly, because time is of the essence. We have some serious questions that we have to ask. And everybody knows my position on the pool. It's very passionate to me, so I say this with a heavy heart. But unfortunately, it sounds like we're having some difficulties on the staffing levels. And if we're going to have an issue opening the pool and just giving a good level of quality of service, I have issues with that if we can't fulfill that. It sounds like we're having issues with the aquatics director. Right. And what are we paying for lifeguards with $8 range?
I don't
Recall, honestly, but
$7.50.
I think even if you just start with the aquatics director, that's where you got to start. I mean, the person who runs it has to have that certification through the Department of Ag to apply chlorine chemicals to a pool, and they, among other certifications like SafeServe and, you know, the child background search. But the big one is that pool certification. That's not so easy to get. Not a lot of people seem to have it. So Grace spoke to Nate Deagle at Mara to see if he had any connections. He was putting something out on one of his websites, but we just didn't, you know, without a director, you can't open. You can't apply chemicals. And so in that process, I did some research to try to find out, well, do we really need to have somebody certified, or can we pay someone to do that, like some company? And it appears that, from what I found on the Department of Health website, that the person that's there taking the morning and afternoon tests on different ends of the pool, and that may have to adjust it, has to be there to have to be certified, somebody that fills out that form. In addition, it looks like, and I'm not sure that we did this the last time we ran it, that the Department of Health requires bacterial tests to be done once a week by a certified lab. And that's just matter. I mean, that's an easy collection. You send it to the lab, but that's just something else to consider. That's the biggest hump we got to get over.
Well, what I'm also worried about is, I mean, we're paying in the $7 hour range. McDonald's, Dollar Tree, they're paying $10, $11, $12, $13, $14 an hour these days. Every business, take a look at just the Dollar Tree down the street. They're only open for certain hours because they can't find people to work. So I have some serious concerns. Can we provide a good quality service to the residents if we're going to be taking people's money can we provide that service? And I have some serious doubts, especially when we're in the $7 an hour range, that we can provide good quality.
Well, I
level
think
of
we
service.
can.
So,
if
well,
we
I
get
guess
to-
what I'm getting at is,
It's a legal issue. It's not a quality issue. It's a legal issue. I mean, if you get the people like we had before, I think they'll do their job and they'll do a good quality job. The problem is a legal issue of that certification of the aquatics director and then the staffing level.
That's what I'm
There are
talking
legal
about,
requirements on staffing level for pool service. You gotta have so many lifeguards. You gotta have, those are the things you have to follow. And so it's legalities that we're up against, getting enough of people to meet those.
And once you charge, residents, for that service, and we're not staffed, and that pool is closing down, you'll hear those voices pretty loud.
Now, I know in years past, around this time of year into April, we had an aquatics director and they were doing the training and the prep for opening the pool. What would you say is the last minute we have to find someone before that window of training and preparation has closed?
I'm gonna guess the end of this, the beginning of next month, the end of this month. You wouldn't open on Memorial Day.
A month.
I mean, should we be looking at advertising at least for lifeguards already? Or do you just hold off until you make sure you have the aquatics director? I mean, if you get the aquatics director and it takes us 3 weeks or 4 weeks to find an aquatics director, we're already, he's already behind the 8 ball to try and get his staff up.
I don't think there's any harm in putting all the ads out.
I didn't either. I kind of thought we should be. And we may have to look at adjusting rates or giving certain benefits to the lifeguards or whatever, maybe memberships for the family. Mom and dad will then push them to go.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I see where I'm at with
Right.
where I'm at with this is, I'm sorry, Mayor. Go ahead.
What is the time frame by which we normally start selling the memberships?
That's a good question. I've never had to deal with the memberships like
We had some people buy them around this time last year.
Yeah, beginning of April.
we don't have a early, where it's a discount
But
for
we
memberships or purchasing. So, they can buy memberships right up to that day, I believe.
Even the earliest, I'm saying, I saw somebody buy one last year in
Yeah.
March.
Oh, right.
So somebody might request one tomorrow.
Yeah.
Have we sold memberships for this year already?
Did you see these memberships?
Tickle my.
So one solution may be, as you suggested, to advertise all the positions at the same time to see what could come our way. Can we think of other places to put the word out? That's why you had called Nate Deagle.
Well, actually, he called us
Oh, did he?
and said that he would be able to provide another place that would be good for people looking for that line of work. They would look in, it was something to do with parks.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
We used to always find teachers, summertime they were done teaching and
Right.
that would be, but,
We have people who have applied for the director, but they don't have the certificate.
Uh-huh.
and I think some of them though were, the salary requirements, one was 70,000. Others, I think were applied just to try and get their foot into a permanent job, not really wanting that, not knowing exactly what that pays.
What did we pay the aquatics director last year?
What did we pay?
Right.
A little over 14,000. Around 14,000. Yeah, I think the guy the person who applied for 70,000, he looked at somebody that has a full year around. This is the summer event for us.
But the other people that applied had full-time jobs that,
Yeah, generally.
it made it odd that they were applying for just a summertime gig, so.
Well, with this being said, I believe this body in the next couple meetings really needs to make some decisions on what we're gonna do. Time is running out.
It's gonna make the decision itself at some point, but, if nobody flies. But it handcuffs what Matt and Greg are thinking is like, we'd like to have it ready in case, but once you put the water in, somebody has to add chemicals to keep algae from growing, and, can we get somebody like Kronberger or somebody to come down and check it for us? You don't have to do all the testing you do as long as it's not open to the public, but they could probably become, once we adjust the chemicals to keep the water functioning.
Mr. Wilsbach, between now and our next meeting, how much work do you plan on doing to the pool? Yes.
Very little until that water level, until the creek goes down, there's a backflow.
No, I got it. Okay,
You know
so
what I mean? There's a pressure relief there, so
not much. That's,
it'll keep coming up. But once the creek goes down, yeah, and it warms up, that we can actually paint the stuff. So
why don't we have an update on our next council meeting to have an update, see how much we've completed, where we stand, and can we put that on the agenda for kind of leave it open, and let's everybody think about it between now and then, and we'll go from there.
Good idea.
Yeah, listen, but thank you very much for, thanks, everybody, thank you for trying to figure this out. Let's just get what we can in by the next 2 weeks, and hopefully we have more answers from that company, and we can revisit this.
May I ask Matt one question?
Oh, yeah.
Matt, based on your research and the town size, that type of thing, do you have any estimate at all in terms of what those type of companies typically charge for a community of our size?
bless you.
Yeah.
Can you stay on them and bug them to see if we can get something from them before?
Thanks, Matt.
Greg, before you leave, could you give us an update on the Spruce Street substation project?
Yes. The last update I gave you, I had an on-site meeting with two engineering company. One came up from Georgia, and they're in the process of doing kind of like the final leg version of it, which is locating the circuits outside the substation, which is the big part of it. Most of the design is done, but you have that piece of it. And then we have the other piece of it, which is the Woodland Hills extension, which is one of the reasons for the sub. We only have 4 breakers in that sub. We need the 5th, and you can't do it in that old sub. It's all metal switchgear. We need the 5th circuit for Woodland Hills. So that's the other piece of the information that they were looking at, how we're going to feed that 5th circuit out with our current setup. I have not received any preliminary plans back on that, but
When were you expecting something from them?
it sounded like it was going to be about a month for them to finish that design. Now I recently worked on the SCADA system last week down at ABB and handled all the reporting, alarms, configuration, and so forth for the new SCADA system, which will be handling Mill Street, but it will be also for Spruce Street sub. It's scalable beyond belief. And I'm not sure if you remember, but it was a purchase that we did back in November, I think, for this SCADA system upgrade.
So we're kind of waiting for that report from the, and tell me when you thought they were gonna get back to you?
They said about a month to get me,
month from-
the
so when would that
plan
be?
so I can look over and put my blessing on it
Yeah.
for that part of the design.
Yeah, and when would that be though?
I'd say within the next 2 weeks. A couple weeks.
So we'll check back next meeting then.
Yeah,
It's an important project and
absolutely.
we just need
Absolutely.
to know
and
there's some
the
momentum
problem
behind
is
it.
coming at a really hard time because one of the things we're talking about is transformers, especially those new transformers, and the lead time for making the extra transformers to be out here. So, and that is one of our challenges with that because we have the storm sewer pipe project that's underneath that substation that would have to be done. Once you start that substation is down forever. When that substation's down, if we get a flood, I shouldn't say any more. That, we're done with as far as that. We will be scrambling to put power units somewhere. And I'll have something backed up, where I can make sure that I can get someone on the phone and bring portable units in and hook into the system. But it has to, we have to limit the time that substation
Sure,
is down.
we understand that.
And
We're just asking
everything
when-
is
how
not
things are
working
going.
in our favor right now, including the material backlog. So I will keep you updated.
Yeah.
And if you want, I can
Big one.
even give you email updates, or I can do it here at the.
Any information you have would be great.
I'm at the mercy.
I know.
Matt knows this. We with our engineers that we deal with multiple engineers. It seems like with COVID, everything just takes twice as long to get back.
Could you give us, if there's no more questions on that, could you give us an update on the pavers downtown, the project they're removing at Union and Elm Street? What's going on there?
I have not heard.
Matt, Liquid Fuels? We're not gonna do that. We told, the reason I'm asking to bring updating this because everybody here heard that we were ready to let the you guys approved putting the contract out for bid, and we were gonna use liquid fuel funds to pay for that. Roughly $60,000 contract. Then this jumped up and unbeknownst to us, when that whole road swap happened with Emall and Union Street, PennDOT recorded the transfer of Ann Street to their ownership, but they never recorded the transfer of Union back to us. So right now they own it all. Because they didn't follow through, there was a retirement, I think, and some signals got crossed, and now that a certain amount of time has passed, they have to update some documents to get this thing corrected. It's gonna take some time.
And I have not heard if there's how long they expect this process to take. But I hate to see our project be put off because of someone dropped the ball.
Well, worse things have happened, and we'll figure through. It sounds like a clerical issue, and we'll get through it. Does anybody else have any questions for Mr. Wilsbach? Mr. Wilsbach, do you have anything else?
I have nothing.
While you're here, I want to take a minute and thank Public Works, the electric company, Mr. Wilsbach and Mr. Miller for a job well done on this council chambers. They did a phenomenal job. I mean, it looks great. The lighting, the ceiling tiles, the new electronics, the
It's not done
screen.
yet. It's got a lot to go, but it's definitely a long overdue upgrade.
Yes, it just,
Thank you.
once the railing goes back in and the window treatments, it'll, yes. So thank you very much.
Appreciate it.
Let the guys know, everything looks great.
I will do
Really.
that. And the little bugs, you know, I want to thank,
Mr. Craig?
I'm sorry, your first name, Dave.
Dave.
Yeah, Digital Dave, for his assistance with getting this, and if you've seen him tonight, he's actually working on that mixer and the squeal, and, you know, there's little things that will get straightened out over the time period. I have, things that are going in your desk that you'll be able to plug and charge your phones in. Each desk will have 2 outlets and 2, USB cables, and 2 up there for you guys. So we'll get them cut into the desk and get them wired in and for you all, and we're trying to bring us up.
It looks great. It really
Nice
does.
job there.
Looks like,
Thank you. And just people hit the walls with the chair like Mr. Still over here.
that's it.
Seriously, you gotta bring
Send
the
him a
chair
bill.
back. You already scratched the
Yeah, that's
wall up.
right.
So,
Send them a bill.
yeah, well, I'll send Jack a bill. You want to get an official motion on that?
Only for Mr. Still.
All right.
Thank
That's all I have. If you have any questions, my phone's always open.
All right.
Thank you again,
thank
and I'll
you.
pass that on to the gentleman, all the guys that worked on this with Public Works and the electric. Let me know.
Thank you, Greg. Thank you, Matt.
Thank you.
Thank you. Agenda number 8, Viola / joint venture. Any representatives? I want to remind everybody and Viola and the joint venture that I know some of their representatives talks to certain council members here and there is a committee set up with Ms. Miller, Ms. Willenbecker, and myself, but they are always more than welcome to come to these meetings and address the body as a whole in the residence. So I'd love to see them utilize that more often. Agenda item number 9, council. Does council or the mayor at this time have?
I have 2 items I'd like to add to the next meeting's agenda. One of them is getting back on the sale of the properties that we have. One on Emont Street, I think it's 507 East. I don't remember if that's the exact number.
Is that a building, or if refresh my memory, is it? Oh, it's a garage.
Yeah, it's a garage. Yeah, and not next meeting, but sometime in the future we can start talking about disposition on the reservoir again. I don't know, that's up for discussion. The other one is the disposition of the pavers that we're storing. We have 51 full skids of pavers and 12 partial skids of pavers that we're storing and we're not using.
Can we just make? Can that be just a simple motion to place those on municipal bid? Resolution. But can we dispose of them on municipal bid, like every other?
So just put it on next meeting's agenda.
Okay. I'm fine with it. I think it's a great idea. Let's just, we've talked about it. It's freaking paver.
Well, we're not going to use it. Yeah, we're not going to use them. We're not going to use 63 skids of pavers.
All right. That's a good one. Does council have anything else? Okay. At this time, do I have general public comment?
On 123 State Street. I'm actually standing up here, as long as you your 4 minutes, I'll be done in 4. I'm actually standing up here on behalf of the pool committee. And I'm glad that you answered some questions, because actually those were the questions that I was going to have. We wanted an update. We wanted to make sure that what we were doing wasn't in vain. And if we're collecting money from residents to try to make this pool happen, we want to make sure it was going to happen. So I will be at the next meeting just to see where we are on this, to make sure that it is still going to happen. And if you guys hear anything in the meantime, if you could please let me know, because we are getting ready to send letters out. If somebody could simply text me, email me, whatever, to let me know if something is going on so that we can get letters out to the residents.
I'll do that, John.
Thank you. The other question I have is, Lonsberger stood up here and said about Seven Sorrows and using an officer for Seven Sorrows. Why isn't Seven Sorrows paying for that? We make the school district pay for our officers when they're there. We make Tattered Flag pay for the officers when they have events. Why are we not making Seven Sorrows pay for our officers? And I'm sure it's not going to be.
No, that's a good point. I think we should look into that. Mayor, maybe you could look into that and report back. Any other general public comment? Mr. Still?
Mr. Still, a resident. I don't know why, if them pavers are useless, anybody would buy them, and Greg says he can use them. I went to Upper Royal, by the way of Grove Street today, and it looks like Med-Ed's replacing the electric to the Middletown substation. How many KWs are the two transformers going to be at Spruce Street? There are two transformers at Spruce Street and two at Mill Street. Can't you move all four of those in one spot and only buy one transformer for Mill Street? And the solicitor, I'm trying to remember saying, if you put a transformer at Mill Street, you can use trust fund money. And if you move the transformer up next to the police station, it wouldn't be totally out of the water, but it'd be out, more out of the water than it is down sitting down on Mill Street. Thank you.
No, they're good points. Thank you, Mr. Still.
Logan Holstein, resident. Shout out to Digital Dave, PC Pro Audio and the electronics. I've used his shop many times. Underappreciated resource when your computer breaks down and you don't want to run out of town. He's always been there. I think people forget about it. But yeah,
Madam Secretary.
Thank you.
Please restart.
You ready? Outwit, outplay, outlast. Congratulations on the vice president spot, secretary spot. That's a line from Survivor if anybody doesn't know it. I feel like that's a Survivor sometimes. So outwit, outplay, outlast. Bonsoir, mes amis, and good evening, council. Thank you all for your time and consideration. Speaking of time, don't worry, Mr. President and Madam Vice President, I won't go over 4 minutes either. In regards to Suez, I actually had the opportunity to have a conversation with them recently at our business association meeting. I'm not sure who it's on to start the process. I know you guys said you formed a committee, but it's certainly in the best interest for everybody that you guys sit down for a workshop with them. And failure to do so, like Ken said, is going to result in what they said was an $8 million CapEx expense and approximately 20% rate increase on the residents come January 2023. If you do just 3 council members, I don't think you have to advertise it as a meeting. I don't know the solicitor will correct that. Those 3 people could come back and propose a workshop, you know, or come back into a full vote for the council. I also suggest it be 3 people that can maybe emotionally detach themselves from the situation and aren't, you know, compromised by the circumstances for sure. And while I can only speak for myself, I felt that they were more than willing to engage in good faith, and they were open and receptive to ideas that we put forth during that 3-hour meeting. And I don't think that the rate increase potentially has to be as bad, but I can't speak for anybody else. I can only speak for me. So I just want you to know it was productive and constructive, and I think that they felt the same way. And I'm sorry it has to be like that for everybody, but definitely have to have a conversation for sure. I know you guys said it's coming down the pike, so I appreciate it. Thank you all for your service.
Yep, thank you.
Could I just make one comment for the public based on what Mr. Holstein reported? Borough Council agreed to meet with or hear a proposal from Suez prior to the time that Logan met with them, and we have not heard back from them yet.
And I will reiterate again, they are on our agenda once a month, and they never come here, and they never show, and they never talk. So they can address this
Well,
whole
they
body.
have. I would like to add too that it's probably a year or so ago, or 2 years ago, that they did meet with us during COVID because they met with us by Zoom. And Mr. Diamond probably remembers, I believe it was a public meeting. They met by Zoom with us, and maybe we could do something like that again if they are willing to propose that, and everybody can see, as we're seeing it, what they're proposing. I would say I have long asked and requested, so as far as 4 or 5 years ago, that they make their annual, or their, not their annual, I'm sorry, they have like bi-monthly workshop meetings. It's called committee meetings. The lease agreement set up a committee of the borough and the joint venture and the operator and the investors. And back when the Press and Journal was still operating, I managed to convince them to allow Dan Miller of the Press and Journal to sit on one of those meetings. And at that meeting, I asked that they would make their meetings public, like this one, so people could see what we're discussing. And they declined because they are a private entity, and we can't make them. So, but my wish would be that we'd have public meetings where everybody could listen in on not just the issues, but even projects. What they're planning to do with their projects.
All right, any other general public comment?
Christy Thomas, 237 West Water Street. I know you guys post the agenda like on the website prior to the meeting. Is there any way to post like it says manager report, code support, finance report? Is there any way to like post information on each one of those subjects so that, because it's kind of hard to ask questions or comment on anything when you don't know what it is. You know what I mean? I know there's other municipalities that do that, like Mount Joy does that. They'll post like the agenda, then they'll post like a packet with like the report and everything in it, and then they'll post the minutes like for each one. I know Camp Hill does it, Mount Joy, State College, there's like a whole bunch of other ones around here that do that. It would just be easier for like the public to, go in and know what.
No, that's a good idea.
Talk
Maybe
about.
we can plagiarize some more stuff from other municipalities.
So are agenda attachments on the Ecode 360 or just the minutes?
Generally, you don't want to put the estimates down.
It's too big.
Well, maybe in the interim, we can look at how other municipalities structure that and see if we can get some more resources out to the public. Very good idea. Any other general public comment?
Sign up on there. I just want to recommend everybody has a microphone. You can leave them on at all times. The only one that's going to be active is the one that people are speaking in. When one person speaks in one mic, all the other mics are subdued. It's an automatic thing built in the mixer, so you don't have to concern yourself with being heard. Except before the meeting starts, if you start conversations amongst each other that's private and your mics are on, then they're going to hear it. So when your meeting starts, always turn the mic on, and the closer you can get that mic to your mouth without actually being right on top of it, it would help helpful too. So just leave the mics on, it won't hurt anything.
Thank you very much. Really do appreciate it. Any other general public comment? Seeing no general or public comment at this time, I would like to recess to executive session with our special counsel. We will be returning, and then actually, once we adjourn the meeting, we'll go to another executive session. No, you're good.
Well,
Thank you.
Talking 60-day plan?
Yeah, we're going. Yeah. Can you hang on? We'll make it quick. We'll be right back.
Okay. Hey.
Where's your iPad? Good.
can let these guys come back out to
At the last meeting.
Yeah, so the break football. Yeah, I mean, I don't know anything about this.
Okay, so whoever's sitting in these shoes, he,
You know, I don't deal with whatever.
if there is ever an issue where there's any kind of feedback.
Oh, okay, that's all.
Rather than just have everybody
Yeah,
randomly
yeah.
start turning the mics on.
Most things.
I'll show you on here.
A lot of things you learn at the school. I'm not sure how he's using them.
That's the master volume for the whole room. Okay. That's this room, that's practice. Turn it all the way, break out, and just turn it all the way down, and then see if.
Well, I don't understand what, how they get. An ordinance can't constitutionally legally say, you gotta follow something labeled outside the rule.
I like our stereo speakers better, so maybe we
So I thought this was more of a,
Sounds good. Okay, awesome.
more of a legend. Oh,
Thank you
okay.
for your assistance today. I know it's been.
Yeah, I mean, that
been a
doesn't,
long
almost
day.
doesn't lie to anything.
Yeah. Well, yeah, we're all working on a 15-hour one too.
Yeah, so, yes, it'd be nice to know how they were adopted before the 138.
Hello, test 1, 2.
Yeah, but I mean, so this is not the ordinance, right? Yeah. But I'm wondering, you know, the specs that were replacing, how old is the, because there's a concept of
Test 1, 2. Test 1, 2. Hello.
dignity of an ordinance, you wouldn't have to do, because I can't imagine they did an ordinance. Okay. Yeah, what I'm saying though is when an ordinance says it could be that something outside can be amended. Okay.
No, that little smeary nut.
You've been doing it since we walked in.
No, I'm like, okay. I started to say something, but then I said, yeah, because I was gonna get mad. But I didn't think I could.
Would you be the first one to go against the order?
No, because I was gonna say something. I was gonna say something about Jim, and then I knew I would be wrong. No, not that Jim, but you, Jim.
Me, huh?
Yeah. I was gonna involve you.
That doesn't surprise me.
Oh, well, I love you. We have a friendship, me.
Yeah, I think so.
No, him.
A love-hate relationship.
Oh, I love
You
it.
love to
Get
hate.
along.
No, I don't hate it at all. I love it. No, seriously.
I agree.
You gave them the advice not to have with questions and answers that you
several different times. And what's that other girl's name that, the black girl that comes down?
Latoya.
Both told them never to have a question and answer section, right? And every time they would give you the question, whenever I would get up to the podium, they'd have a question and answer section. And they violated their own policy. They've already set precedents. How can they go back and do it now?
Well, with rules of the meeting, you can change them prospectively anytime.
Yeah, but I can't understand how you can enforce it after you've already violated.
Well, you gotta announce what the new thing is. You can always change it the next meeting.
Right.
But you shouldn't change it partway through it.
Alright.
Like, you shouldn't give somebody 10 minutes, and then halfway through, say, "I'll run out of time, now everybody's got a minute."
So if somebody goes over 4 minutes,
Yeah, that's probably ought to. That's what, I will say, like, a lot of the school districts, we represent a very methodical amount, and with their municipalities we represent, we will have police officers enforcing it.
so what do you do if you can't get everything out in 4 minutes?
You can write something that, letter to the council.
Okay. But I still say that even though you're setting a policy again, that you're more inclined to violate again.
Yeah, I don't know. See what they do.
I mean, they tried to do the policy several different times, and every time they say, we're gonna enforce this 4-minute rule, they'll say that at the beginning of the meeting, fine, as soon as the meeting starts, that 4-minute policy goes right out the window.
Yeah, so I agree. It's then you do end up with your 11 o'clock at night. It does make sense to have it and enforce it. 4 minutes is pretty long.
It depends.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of places are 3 minutes. Besides those college towns.
Our committee contacted.
You know, and like I said, you guys were very stringent about that. You know, and
Hey, this is Bill Rell here now. I'm there. Maybe on road. Hey, I'll go road all I want.
Huh?
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's been. Yeah. It's an aviator, it's an Invicta.
Oh, okay.
But,
now we like them. They are cool.
they have.
That's all that was.
Okay.
I actually wanted it, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. But, if that answers you asked for, show me again. And next thing you know, we all come to it. We all know. And then we're gonna go back to the meeting.
Yeah, or it won't be. You're right. Yeah.
Well, oh, yeah. I got it.
No. It's a what? Shower pan. Oh, a pan. Yeah. Well, it's a tile and there's two.
Tile and two will be black.
Yeah, like a glass enclosure.
Oh, cool.
For a corner shower.
I should have put a glass, I should have put a sliding glass door on mine. Oh, that's always fun putting the toilet. Get the clutch up.
No, it's fine. Pull up onto it. Big platform. I did. It's not that. What I extended to.
To the high platform?
No, it's like, that.
What, like that? Oh, damn, that's not no thing.
Toilet.
That's
I mean, I haven't bought a toilet.
how far up does the toilet go?
You gotta step up, right now you have to step up to get in.
How far up the road?
It is for, short people.
The problem before was the toilets that are around
Angled.
the platform wasn't out front. So I said that if I don't, that my thing would now be on the road.
I got that particular like this, that sits on top of the, I'm still waiting.
What's wrong with it?
It has to be removed, right? Now, once the box, that the motor control out of the thing,
What?
and then I don't want it.
Oh, okay.
I want the box out so that I can just turn the switch on, over it with the switch. The box doesn't work anymore. The remote doesn't work.
Oh, yeah. You wanna do it with the lights on?
Yeah, I wanna do it with
Or you
the
wanna do it with the
Yeah, I wanna do it.
settings?
Huh?
All.
Yeah, with the lights on. Oh, yeah, I have one of those.
Doesn't have any things on, right?
Yeah, it changes.
Oh, okay, that's good.
All I gotta do is pull the switch. I can't do it. Why? Because the remote control in it.
Mine has a remote and all I do is pull the thing.
I can't do it. It won't let me. I can't. It won't let me. Take the box out.
need a worker. Called in my. Oh,
While you're at it, you wanna help me cut the corners on the lighter ball?
Can work.
Yeah.
That's good.
Okay.
Or you can just buy square trim.
I'll do that.
Wanna wash your dry upstairs?
I'll make them know. I don't want my dryer.
I hate that.
What? Where are you gonna put it then? Where do you want your vent? Oh, that's nice. Where are you gonna put it? Wash your dry on the floor. Put it on the roof on the floor.
Come on, come on.
So I learned. Put it in both my shop. Got the new roof on there. Not a forest.
Mine went up through the roof.
Ours is now.
I don't want my dryer to up there.
Without sun drill.
My parents goes up there. I didn't see it. I mean, you see all the living stuff,
I just put your tires.
they are now.
Mine, my fence went through the roof.
My parents are.
My washer and dryer on the first floor, that's went up through the second floor. But I only have a floor and a half.
I learned another one.
What's that?
Light that goes up. Next to your room. Cut the thing back.
Come right down.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Use a inch and a half, what do they call it? Like an exhaust, bracket. And,
I just put it back together.
yeah, but before you cut it,
I already did all that.
yeah, but if you don't, that's how you prevent it from going straight down.
Well, you got the bracket.
He knows that now.
Yeah, I put brackets in it. But then it was cast out. If I put it on where it comes crashing down.
Yeah.
I don't know how I got it back up.
Mine was cast iron.
No, they have a rubber boot. That's pretty good at make sure. So, as far
Should come out of it?
No, it's like metal process.
When we were cutting our house, the plumber said to me, when you go to cut that, make sure you put, sauce, you know, like, blank, put blank on it, instead of half blank. And I'm like, okay.
That's what I did. After that.
I said, why? He said, you'll find out. He
I
said,
found that
you don't, he said, you don't wanna go down in that basement and cut that without putting it on.
I cut all before it got time.
Yeah.
Get it off. Cut that.
Yeah, he told me, he said, make sure you buy lots of, sawzall blades.
I used it,
How long is that?
That'll take a while. What? Oh, I dropped. It'll take me a while to cut off. I could at least hang it. I just need wall.
Oh, yeah.
I thought, hey,
I have like 3 bridesmaids though. I have 3. I've had them for. Oh, one friend was 2 years old.
Yeah, I don't know what.
She's got your wedding dress?
Yeah, fine, it was at my mom's.
And what you gonna do with it?
I don't know, like I wanted to like get rid of it, but then it must have gotten bad somehow.
Oh, you can go get it clean. Get professional.
Oh no, it's pretty bad.
No, over on Vine Street. Yeah, right next to it.
I don't know, I have to figure out. Oh, no. I go with the Royal one. Yeah, I go with the Royal one. Oh, really? Yeah. Well, I'm supposed to go there first. I don't know.
Pass it under.
I need to go.
No doubt in my mind that there is. Right. Oh, wow, looking at my kids out there. Well, yeah, you do talk about that. They must have been doing.
I wouldn't want to get no offense to those who do, but bag? No. I just want to pay for the bag, you know. People get it, they fall. I'm like, little, crap. Right now, that retail, for those salads, $30,000. Look, I ain't buying it. When did they? You don't want to go to Britain for a package. No, because then there's double. When was that?
Oh, it is round it.
Bigger paper. But,
Oh. Almost an hour.
that's always been. Hold on. Now the baseball's back, I'll have my. Did it come back? I'll have my. Throw that up. I feel like you're up there a little bit.
No, that's the Ford, isn't it? Or is it the band hall? Is that the band hall?
Probably. Is it food or? Actually got it on order. So, or fire, but, ordered one and then we're trying to get coming from.
How many times are they gonna rebuild this stuff? He's talking about the one down here. You know how much money we put into this one? That you say sexy phone? I know.
It's late in the day.
I was like, what are you doing with water?
It's that dot spot.
It's on here, but the 14 hours a day. I'm allowed this stuff.
Yep, okay.
I'll put your 14 hours on paper.
How's he doing?
I know. So to have kids will be fun.
Oh,
I get older. He woke up this morning with 101 fever. He looked like Death War Beverly. He was so white. So of course the first thing I do is show him. That's what we do now.
he has it? Are you okay? Got that illness, don't you? You got that Friday blues. That Friday blues. Got the blues. I'm not much trouble. Chicken head.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. No, I want to put this on.
Oh, but it's more, it's better than me.
He's up there playing on his phone.
What are you gonna do? You wouldn't let me leave.
What are you playing? Solitaire?
Wordle.
Word.
Wordle, called.
Oh, he's looking at his bank account. Members first, deposit, handle.
See members first new building out there on 81?
No, where?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Where?
Well, on 81 in Cumberland County. Giant, I mean, it's,
What,
you know where it is?
It's over near,
Where my favorite news is. Yeah.
Over like all Worcester, where the
Man.
Worcester Road.
Yeah, it's real big.
I have to go over there. A friend of mine lives up there.
When did he say that?
Was she a truck driver? Oh. I'm like, two drivers.
I was gonna say, my God.
Yeah, what the heck did she take that out with? Oh. I think dragging the pole for a while. Slowed her down. Really? Ah.
One leads to something.
Oh, you-
Stuff underneath it.
Yeah, I know. How often does that happen?
Once every.
Does that happen a lot?
No. Like when
Oh,
you run a car.
really?
Yeah, right, yeah, where the bridge is.
I know Larry Harper. He went charged the traffic.
There was just one last year, I think.
Oh. Oh, I hear it. Highway. Oh, I bet that, I take it happened at night.
Well, that's wrong.
Oh, we get windows. There is only one of those. Only coming up with one crowd. Hey, baseball. Oh, baseball. Well, that's when I'll have to come down. Oh, which one you said? Warm up before. It's all right. Yeah.
I'd like to watch that.
Warm up before the season. That's right. That's right. That's right.
Friendly.
He can also be intimidating.
Still intimidating.
I love baseball.
But doesn't she look intimidating? She's not ugly.
No, I'm not. But when I meant by ugly,
But she's not ugly.
that's it, right?
She's a different kind of man. Same sort of.
time I ever walked into Rachel's house, I was on. I said to Marla, I'm out. Yeah, but I've never seen it though. That was the first time I've seen it. She ain't ugly. I didn't say she's ugly. I said she's big.
But if you thought come in the house and there's no lights on, you can't see.
Talked about this before.
I wear a suit.
My dog, I can tell.
I don't know. Mine.
Not a good time right now. Our mailman was a year ago. They had a German Shepherd that was come to the
My family, even though I was out on the porch and the man would go over to the edge of the yard and wouldn't go onto the sidewalk at him, she was just staying in the grassy area. He said she comes off that porch all the time, I'm afraid. Like, on my property. He said, I'm a sprayer around it. That's what I told him, you spray my dog, I said,
Shit was funny. From Catherine Street up to where we get our mail. From Catherine down to Union. Talking about you know what?
Walking up on people, and they won't give him a uniform.
No, this guy doesn't, he doesn't have a
They won't give him a
uniform.
uniform. He's been walking 11 o'clock at night, walking up on someone's street. That's the. Like, you know, like, I don't want to be here.
Forever? There was a traffic study done.
oh shit,
It doesn't work.
I go that way.
Well, that way every day. Go to work. No, it's our baby. No, no, no. I argued it for years.
Okay.
I argued it for years.
Thank you everybody Thank you everybody for waiting patiently. Appreciate it. I would like to report on the executive session. We discussed matters of litigation. We do have some action items.
So we have a motion to amend the agenda to include an item on the agenda to address the joint venture's 5-year CapEx plan submission, for which our action is required within 30 days.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Councilor Kluskevich, second by Councilor Miller. Any questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. At this time, I'd like to open it up to public comment on that agenda item.
Jack, resident of Milltown. I was talking to some people that were at that business meeting, and they said the joint venture people were there. And I got the impression from the person I was talking to that they seen that some things could be worked out if we put our smiley faces on and talk to them.
It's a shame that our special counsel didn't even hang out to stay here for this, but
Talk to some of the people at the business meeting.
Here we heard Mr. Holstein say something.
yes, yes. We are waiting for them to set a meeting up. We have sent the invitation, and we are anxiously waiting for them. It's been well over 2 weeks. And I would also like to note for the record one more time, they are on our agenda, our business or our workshop agenda every month. They can come in here and talk to everybody at the same time. They don't do that. And there's a reason they don't do that. Don't believe everything you hear. Moving on.
Do we have a motion to accept the proposed 2022 to 2027 5-year CapEx plan dated February 28, 2022 as provided by Middletown Water Joint Venture, subject to specific reservations and rejections noted in our letter of response dated March 15, 2022?
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Councilor Kluskevich, second by Councilor Miller. Any questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Do I have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
We going into executive session?
I'm sorry?
Are we going into
Do I have a motion to adjourn the meeting? We will be going to executive session. We will not be returning. We'll be discussing matters of litigation and personnel.
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Meeting adjourned. Thank you very much.